education for the folks that are here tonight. So, as far as the State of the District Address, there's several purposes we have tonight. One of them is just to share with you our district's overall performance. We'll start by talking a little bit about who we are, what our profile is in the state of Wyoming, and how we compare with other districts around the state of Wyoming. We're going to talk a little bit about our academic progress and how we're doing. We're going to talk a little bit at the end about what we need to work on and where we're going to go next. So let's start with the profile. What does Laramie 1 represent? Who are we in the state of Wyoming? Well, I think most of you probably know that we are the largest district in Wyoming. We are probably closer to the national demographic profiles than we are our actual state. You'll see some of that in a minute. We have over 13,000 students. We have over 2,700 employees, 34 schools. And when we say we're growing rapidly, what we mean by rapidly is we're growing about 1% per year. To put that in perspective, it's essentially the need for a new elementary school every 2 years. And that pace is fairly steady. And so for the next decade or so, you're going to see buildings going up in our district pretty much constantly. So looking at how we compare to the rest of the state, you'll see we've ranked them from the smallest all the way to the largest. And the bar graph over here shows Laramie 1 here. Of course, the closest one to us is Natrona County. And quite frankly, what's interesting is if you take the top 4 or 5 largest districts, we pretty much represent half the state. And that's important because of some other statistics you're going to see a little bit later. So in terms of enrollment by grade level, as you can see, the elementary grades are growing are a little more rapidly than the others. That's not abnormal. We've always had higher elementary enrollments than secondary, and I think you can probably figure out why. As students leave the systems or drop out at the high school level, you'll see that we have fewer secondary students as students drop out or exit the public system. But you can see we've got a bubble coming through, and we are going to have larger enrollments going forward. Currently, at this current time, it appears that the South Triad is actually growing more rapidly in the elementaries than the others right now. As far as ethnicity, how do we compare to the rest of Wyoming? We're a little more diverse than most of our state. As you can see from the bar graphs here, about 80% of the state is white. We're about 72% here in Laramie 1. And of course, the bulk of our minority population are Hispanic. And so 19.1% of the students that attend our school district have a Hispanic or Latino heritage. One thing you might be interested in is where they come from as far as birth countries. It might shock some of you to know that we actually have 27 different languages spoken in Laramie 1. Last year was 28, not sure who we lost. But we now have at least 27 different languages currently spoken. And these are the birth countries that these students all come from. And one of the most rapidly growing populations that you see on this list are the Somalian students. And in the last year, Laramie 1 has had over 100 students from Somalia show up in our district, many of them that don't speak English, and some of the girls have never been in school. We had a high school girl enroll at one of our high schools that had never been in school in her life. And so those are the challenges that your diverse communities face that perhaps not everyone faces as far as challenges.